Welcome to Complete Edition, the podcast between a PlayStation Trophy Hunter and an Xbox Achievement Hunter. This is episode 27. I'm your host, Compulsive Nerd, and I'm joined by AJ. How you doing, AJ?
I'm doing well. Things have been hectic this week. I've not had too much time for gaming, but I've done some. But I got started in the lab with some PhD stuff last week. I dealt with liquid nitrogen for the first time, so that was a lot of fun and a little nerve-wracking. But yeah, it's been good.
You were wearing all kinds of equipment, I'm guessing, goggles and stuff?
Yeah, we wear like a lab coat and then like purple nitrile gloves, kind of like the gloves you see in like, doctor stuff, I guess, but
Yeah.
use those basically. And then do all the reactions behind like a fume hood, so like a really like a ventilated box basically.
Right.
So that you don't, breathe in like any of the volatile chemicals like, acetone or toluene or whatever, which is what I've been using recently. But I mean, I pretty much the only protection. I mean, it's not like I feel like it's going to be a problem if I spill liquid nitrogen on myself with a lab coat or some gloves, though. So I don't think it's very protective. I think it's just don't spill it, don't knock it over, don't drop it.
Don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it
up.
Oh man, I know what you mean though by like just not having the time, man. It's been a crazy week. I just moved into a new apartment, so I got my keys Friday, but I didn't move in until yesterday, so I'm officially moved in. And then we started the show a little later, and that's why like this podcast is going to go up today late. But my furniture just arrived, so we were in the middle of doing that, and I'm like so pumped. I just want to sit in my recliner and like kick my feet up and like get everything into position, you know. And it's like I'm just gonna wait till after the show. But man, the excitement is real, dude. I'm so excited to be in this situation, have my game room. It's separate from my bedroom. It's like a whole dedicated area for gaming, and it is awesome. Like, I am so freaking excited. And I did do a little bit of gaming. I actually got way more gaming in than I thought I was going to, because I picked up extra work, and then on top of picking up extra work, I was moving. So it's like, how did I find the time to game? I have no freaking clue, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah, moving is like so stressful, and you getting like all the furniture stuff sorted out. So like it must be a relief to pretty much have like most of that stuff sorted now.
Yeah,
having stuff arrive today.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a couple things to do, like later today, probably. Well, I don't know, man. It's raining really hard here, which I felt so bad for the guys who are moving my furniture. I'm on the third floor, but it's like raining so hard here. And I'm like, man, these guys are out in the fucking rain. That sucks. Like, that sucks. But I was thinking about going and getting curtains, because I want to be able to black out this room so that I can play on the OLED, because, OLED in the dark is the best thing ever. But like, that there's just like a couple more things that I need to do. Maybe get like a stand or a side table and a stand for my consoles to go on or something. I don't know. It's fun because I can just take my time with it, and I have the space, and it's really fun right now. I mean, just incredible. This is my first time like living on my own. I had roommates on my last apartment, so whenever I did want to do things, it's like I have to confirm with them if I can do whatever I want, except in my space. But this is different. This is all my space. So whatever I want to do, I can do it. It's super, super freaking exciting.
Yeah, nice. That's great.
Yeah, I can't wait. But let's talk about what we're chasing, man. So I did get some games in, and I want to say this. I got SpongeBob done. SpongeBob rehydrated.
What did you think of it? Did you like it?
I did like it. It was really fun, and the only thing I have to say is like they didn't get the Mr. Krabs voice actor, and that was
yeah, you can tell. You can definitely tell it's distracting.
You just don't get the like he didn't do any of that, and it's like, oh darn, missed opportunity. But
the Mr. Krabs voice actor, that's what's his name, Hank from Detroit Become Human. It's the same guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Did not know that. But they got a lot of the original cast in there, though, in the SpongeBob game. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun playing that game, and it wasn't, I don't know. I think the reviews were pretty low, and like the game's totally serviceable, like super, super fun. Like something small and stupid, and I got it for free with PS Plus. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to freaking platinum that. And I did. And that was number 224. And then I did find the time to complete Cyberpunk. So I got number 225, platinum number 225 with Cyberpunk, And then I started Lost in Random because it was like, you know, when you're in a situation where you know what's coming. So I knew my move was coming, and I'm like, I want to start Sifu, but I don't want to start it in the move because that's going to just give a delay to this game that I want to get invested in. So I'm like, what can I play? And I had Lost in Random on my account and on my PlayStation. So I was like, I'll just jump into this. And holy crap, dude, I love that game. It's not like it's
That's
not like a 10 out of 10 or whatever, but it's just like it has like a really cute narrator that like I freaking love the writing, and it's just like the art style is super creepy. It's like that Tim Burton style, but
Yeah,
it's
it
60.
reminds me of. I saw that game got like polarizing reviews. Like some seem to really love it, some seem to not like it at all. And it does seem to have that like reminds me of that game like Alice Madness Returns, and there's like a previous one as well. It was also
Yeah.
published by EA, I think. So yeah, it reminds me of that like Tim Burton like Alice in Wonderland style thing. Also, I just want to quickly say that voice actor, his name's Clancy Brown. I looked it up, and he's Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob. He's Doctor Neo Cortex and Uka Uka in Crash Bandicoot,
Whoa.
and he's Hank Anderson in Detroit Become Human. So he's like everywhere and has like a really broad range of voices that I love.
That is really cool. Yeah, you love to see actors like that, especially in the video game industry. Like just so much range. Because I mean, I feel like you can play a lot of different characters. Like actors can play a lot of different characters in live action, but you don't really get to take on like a different voice and a different style character like you do in video games or animation even. Like you can completely change it up. There's been games where like I can't recognize the voice actor. I'm like, who? What? That's them? Like what? I can't even believe that. But yeah, that's really cool that he was in there. But yeah, the art style on Lost in Random was it's really interesting because it does look like claymation, kind of. It looks like Tim Burton, but the weird part about it is it's 60 frames per second, so you don't get that kind of janky nature to it. And the gameplay was very interesting to me, and I still am very interested in it. It's very easy. It's not hard. It's like the best word to describe it is like it's a serviceable combat mechanic. Like it's definitely not the highlight of this game, and it would be a big reason why I see why people like criticize it, because you could get bored. I can imagine, because it's like it's not challenging in any way whatsoever, even if you put it on hard. But it's a really cool idea where you have like this character with you that's a dice, and you can just you shoot these like ice pieces off of or crystals off of the enemy, and then that increases the amount of cards that you can roll, and then you roll this character that's a dice, and depending on what it lands on, you can then use the number that you did to choose the cards that you've accumulated. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's cool. It's such a unique idea, but again, not a hard game at all by any stretch of the imagination. And the bosses have been fun, but the writing is mostly what I love, which I'm more narrative over gameplay, and the writing in this is just so cool. Like everything has to do with a dice. So there's like oneers who are like the lowest class people, and then there's like two town, and then there's like threedom, and like just a bunch of like these town names that are based off the dice, and like sixers, and it's I don't know, man. It's really cool how they could just play with the idea of randomness and then the idea of like dice and stuff and build this world. I don't know. I'm really, really, really enjoying it.
Nice,
And
I'm glad. They seem it's like the SpongeBob game and Lost in Random. They seem kind of similar in not in like style necessarily in like literal style, but in that like sort of childlike type way. And like the you were saying the game's really easy as well. I remember when I played SpongeBob, I thought that game was super easy as a platformer, but like really well designed as well in terms of like the challenge feels easy, but it still feels like fair and like reasonable.
yeah, and it's not only that, but it's interesting. It's like I didn't even know what to expect. For a game like this, you kind of expect a little easy hack and slash. Kind of something with not a lot of animations, not a lot of stuff going on. But I felt like I'm constantly running around and I'm dashing and I'm dodging, and she has like a dodge roll, and I'm like, wow, like what the hell is all these movements? And then and then you've got characters like different enemy types that have have different like move sets. So you got to be really like watching because someone might have a gun and you're gonna have to dodge the incoming projectiles. And then there's someone with a sword who's like constantly trying to get close combat with you. So you have these enemies chasing you, and you can't have them mix. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's interesting how it's just such a throwaway game, but it doesn't feel that way for me. Because like it really was like one of those things where I'm like, I'm just gonna start this because I can finish it in like 8 hours. It's like one of those games. It's not long, and I'm really enjoying it. And like I said, the writing and the world is so interesting. Like there's this mayor in Two Town, and his there's like this creature coming out of his hat and is building a town above Two Town because everything is like two faced in Two Town. So everybody has like two personalities and two sides to everything. And the thing that's coming out of the mayor's hat is creating the upside down town. And I'm like, oh, upside down town. Like it's so clever. It's just like everything about the game is it just knows what it is and is playing right to it. And I love it. I'm just like sitting there enjoying the hell out of this game. So I'm excited to get back to that. But let's talk about how fucking hard Rogue Legacy is, dude. Jesus Christ. I'm so bad at this game. I don't know if I'll be able to platinum it, but Jesus Christ, dude. It's hard. I haven't even beat the first boss yet. I granted I only played for like 3 hours, but still, like, the game is
Yeah, I
hard for
mean,
me.
well, you'll be fine because that game, like, as long as you upgrade yourself in a way that like makes sense. Like, for example, I'm not upgrading my magic because I don't really care about the magic, and I find the magic kind of awkward to use. Like
Me too.
sometimes it's pretty good. It depends on what spell you've got, but I don't like. Normally, you know, when you get to like choose which character you want to take after you die,
Yeah.
I normally optimize for the traits because I feel like the traits can be really good or like really destructive. I normally don't care what like magic spell they've got because I feel like it's
Mm.
too many to look at all of them. It's like too many variables, if that makes sense. Like you always have to compromise usually.
Yeah.
So I normally like take the magic out of the equation, I guess. And then on like when you like level up your guy based on the tree, I normally don't focus on the magic stuff. So I've been upgrading my health and my damage and my crit chance and my crit damage. And it's been going okay. I feel like you sort of to some extent, I mean, I don't know like how bad you are at it in the sense of that like the only time to panic is if you hit like level 100 and you like still can't do anything in the game, you know? Like
Right.
otherwise you'll get there. Like I'm at the stage where everyone in like that castle area at the start, I'll basically one shot them with any character. So every enemy I'll one shot, and I've beaten the first few. I've beaten I think 3 of the 4 main bosses, or 3 of the 5 main bosses rather. But yeah, I mean, just keep going at it. Like you'll level up your guy more and more, and it becomes like the early game becomes about like surviving long enough to get gold, essentially, like
Yeah.
get as many treasure chests as possible, just so you're making like incremental progress.
That's what I'm doing right now. And you know, it's interesting you talked about the traits. I don't pay attention to the traits as much as I do the class. I prefer the paladin and I prefer what's like the shinobi, is that right?
Yeah, I
There's
think
like
so.
and it's like a more it's a stronger character. I do not I'm also with you. I don't do the magic. I don't care about magic, but I also like the giant characters, like gigantism or something like that.
Yeah,
I have a lot easier time hitting the enemies because I have such a wider reach
yeah,
with
your
them.
sword becomes bigger as well. Like it's part of
Yeah.
the character model. It's not just
Yeah.
um, like yourself becoming bigger. It's the sword as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely really cool. So I'll always try to choose the class and the traits that tend to fit my playstyle better. But like the shinobi is so fast, dude. He's so fast, and that's the way that I like to play. And I have a lot of trouble with like, and I'm playing it on Vita, but the way the physics, like I don't know, when you jump, like I hit spikes way too often. I'm like I just can't time it right to
Oh yeah,
where
the platforming's maybe like the worst aspect. Like it's really, it feels really floaty, like in
it
terms of
does.
your jumps, and it's awkward to like. You kind of have to like when you jump up to a platform, you kind of have to stop before you can like run and jump again. You can't like jump immediately after. What makes it easier? I don't know if you've unlocked it yet, but you can get like an ability that gives you a double jump, and
Yeah.
then just keep that on like all the time. Basically, like you can switch it off, but you shouldn't probably. Like you can basically get like I forget the name of the woman who does it, but there's like a character in like the hub before you go into the castle where you unlock. Yeah, they're runes, I think. So yeah, you unlock runes, and then they can give you like some of them give you extra gold, some of them give you some mana or HP vampirism. Some of them give you double jumps, some of them give you like dash moves. But I normally just keep on like a double jump and a dash like all the time. Like always have that as part of like the default move set essentially. I don't think there's much use in like putting on like 5 dashes or like 5 jumps or whatever, but you could if you want to. But I find that that kind of makes the game feel like way more fluid if you have like the double jump and the dash enabled.
Yeah, and you see, you were talking about the platforming, like I mentioned, and it just is like one of those things where I fuck myself all the time because I'm like, oh, there's an enemy, I'm gonna jump, oh, and I hit him, and I'm like fuck. I just like am so bad at the platforming that no matter the situation, it's like I keep getting into bad situations. And to give you perspective on how bad I was, like my first run was maybe 20 seconds long, like it was short, and then I was like, oh, okay, I see this is going to be really hard. And I just have these runs sometimes where I'm only in there for like 30 seconds and it's over, game over. So lately though, I've been having longer runs where I'm getting 5 to 8 minutes in, and that's just the incremental, like,
Yeah, you gotta like.
progress.
It's satisfying seeing like the gold counter, the amount of gold you can get per run go up. It's kind of got that like cookie clicker style
Yeah.
addictive nature to it, and that like you'll do a run and you'll get like 500 gold in a run for the first time, and you'll be like, yeah, and then when you play like 10 hours later, you'll do a run and you'll get like 5,000 gold in a run, and you'll be like, this is awesome. And then
I think the most I got was like 800, and I felt so good. I was like, oh
yeah,
hell yeah.
yeah, I think I'm
But
getting like 12,000 now, and I'm like, this is sick. Sometimes,
it's
so
fun. I mean, the
yeah,
game is really fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm not going to stop playing it, but I am bad at it, and I'm willing to admit that. But I also got one of the perks is you can buy a thing where like you get money, you get to keep a little bit of money from Charon, so
yeah,
he doesn't take all of your money. And I was like, hell yeah, because like one of the trophies in the game is to purchase like one of every skill, and I have been focusing on that, and
yeah. I
maybe
got that knocked out pretty early as well. It's a good thing to do first.
yeah, and it allows me to see the rest of the trees. And as I'm playing and I unlock those things, I start seeing like, oh, whenever I get all the skills, I'm going to invest in this one, and then I want to invest in that one just based on the ones that I'm getting. So I think that that's like a really great trophy. Like,
Yeah, because yeah, when
absolutely.
you get like a new skill, it shows you more like hidden skills. Basically,
Yeah.
there's one
Yeah.
that's like there's one skill on like I won't say like how to get it, I guess, but there's one skill on the skill tree that is like hidden as well, which is pretty cool.
Oh
So
yeah, that's a trophy too. I want to get
yeah,
that one.
I like that. And yeah, in terms of like I've got that Charon thing. You can get it so he only takes like 50% of your gold, which is pretty good. But it's still worth spending like all that you can whenever you get back. But it's just nice. It just adds like this multiplicative effect on the amount of gold that you're getting. In terms of like the difficulty, I mean, because it is so like so much of it has like RPG mechanics where you're like essentially leveling up and progressing even when you fail. It's like you're meant to die quite a lot at first and sort of go through that sort of process because also you're like learning while you're playing as well, so you're sort of naturally getting better and you're like literally getting more health and more damage and stuff. So, and when you find blueprints, you can get better armor and better weapons and things like that. The only thing that is like, I guess, hard capped in terms of difficulty is there's some of the optional bosses. Well, all of the optional bosses, you have to beat them like on like a set character with a set amount of health that's the same every time. So you can't like over level those bosses. You just have to get good basically. And then there's the achievement or trophy to beat the game in I think 15 runs,
Yeah,
which
that's the one.
yeah is going to be tough. But there's a way to like regenerate rooms and farm gold. So if you can't do it like fully legit, you can do that, I guess. There's other stuff as well you can do, like if you get lucky with like the carnival games and stuff like that, you can speed it up. So that's not, I'd say that's not like as pure skill as like the optional bosses, but those are like the two big things that will be heavily skill dependent. But everything else is fine. And what's quite good about the list really is that you sort of do everything else first. Like you get everything else out of the way before you do those. So it kind of gives you time to learn the systems and get better at the game and sort of get like 20 to 30 hours experience playing the game anyway. So
Yeah, it just I don't know. I'm the 15 deaths part is definitely going to be one that gets me, but I think that my skill with the game is growing, especially as I learn more about the enemies and stuff. But it's just I restarted the game a couple times actually. Like I just died way too many times my first time, and then I was like, well, I want to try to do the 15. I was like in my head, I wanted to try the 15 deaths with like getting to the end, and I just wanted to see kind of at the very 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 beginning, this was just for fun, just being like, how good am I? And I could get to like the second stage, like where you explore the map and you unlock a new part of the map, and then I could get like 2 or 3 pages into there, and then I die, and I'd be like, okay, and that was on my third death. It's like, oh well, maybe this isn't impossible for me. Like, so I was just trying it and having fun with it. But then I got really serious, and that's whenever I started investing and I built out my skill tree. I think I'm level I think I'm level 23 right now, something like
nice.
that. So I'm starting to get higher and better and
Yeah, I think you
more
should
and
be
more gold.
around the point where you can like fight the first boss. I think the first
Yeah,
boss you want to be
and
around like level 30 or so. So
and I've tried to fight the boss one time, and I got him down maybe a quarter, and then he did this like spiral thing, and I needed to jump on the platforms to dodge the
yeah,
projectiles, and then I just got hit and I died, and I was like, damn, still too weak, still too weak.
yeah. The what will, I assume, become like the big thing when you go for like the 15 deaths is like the way you beat the game is you have to beat the boss of every region. You beat the boss of every region, and then another area unlocks, and then that area is where the final boss is, and then you fight the final boss, and then you beat the game. So, in terms of what I assume would be the best strategy for doing that in 15 deaths, is to just get really good at the bosses and basically run past difficult rooms. Hope you don't get screwed by like RNG in terms of the rooms, and just try and find the bosses kind of as soon as possible after you've sort of farmed gold in like the easiest area, like the castle area. Then probably it's just about like learning the bosses. And because if you can like, if you think about it, even if you do really low damage and you have really low health, if you can beat every boss without being hit, or being hit only a couple of times, like your damage and your health don't matter. Like if you can do it consistently, then and that's not like easy to do by no means. But if you can beat every boss by only taking like 2-3 hits to them, then you'll be able to get that achievement, because all you have to do is beat the bosses. Essentially, you don't have to worry about clearing the rooms unless you want to collect gold. So
Right.
ultimately you could probably do it in one run if you got really really good at the bosses. So having 15 is it's kind of nice in a way if you think about it that way.
Yeah, and I do think about it that way, and that's really smart. And like what I want to do next, which I'm going to do as I play more, is like I want to get into that first boss room and learn the moves. Like I was already telling you about the one that was spinning, but like I've seen some of the other moves, and I'm just learning them so that I can not get hit. But sometimes I panic, and I'm like, god damn, I gotta get up this
Yeah,
wall.
it reminds me of like the bosses in Rogue Legacy have like this really cool like retro aspect to them, I guess. Like they remind me of like Mega Man or something, where like the boss essentially has like one or two gimmicks and that's it. They have like four moves or like three moves or two moves or one move, and that's it. And as soon as you learn it, like you're good. So that's like some words of encouragement for anyone, finding it difficult, is that like eyeball boss guy, he has like a spiral going one way, a spiral going the other way, and then he has two different like one like almost random pattern of shots, and one like regular pattern of shots, and that's like all the moves that he has. He just has those four moves essentially. So if you learn those moves, you're just like you're golden. And basically all the bosses follow a similar structure where they just have like two or three moves that they do over and over again, and once you like get them, then you're good, you know. So it's not as daunting as it might seem, I think, because it can be quite unnerving because you die really fast in this game, which is what makes it quite difficult, I think. Because it's like you take like 3, 4 hits and you're dead, even if you're like properly leveled for the area. So it's just about like that like attrition of learning the move set, and the move set isn't that complicated, so it feels possible. It's not like a like character action game or whatever where there's like 100 different cancels and animations and stuff to learn. There's just sort of like four moves, and the telegraph comes out pretty readably, and you can stand in like a pretty good position every time. So it's not as bad as it seems, I think, because at first it was I was getting destroyed as well. So and you will just get destroyed for the first few times in an area, and but you know you get used to the pacing, and then it sort of clicks eventually.
Totally, and that's totally where I'm at right now. The game is starting to click, and I'm really having fun. But I'm actually a little curious on your thoughts about this. But like, I'm gonna finish Lost in Random, and then I'm gonna start Sifu, and then juggling like two hard games at the same time. It's not like it's not like I can just take a break from Sifu and then turn on Rogue Legacy and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna cruise right through this. It's gonna be an interesting thing. Like, how do you juggle something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I talked before how it was tough going from Elden Ring to Tunic because I think they're both quite difficult games that require a lot of focus and mental energy. I'd say with like Sifu and Rogue Legacy, it might not be that bad because from what I've heard, Sifu isn't too long, and it seems like the type of game where you'd get drawn into it anyway, where you just want to like master the levels and you'd not like stop until you've mastered it. Like you could give yourself a hard time if you like stop when you're like right about to get to a breakthrough in Sifu and then swap to Rogue Legacy or whatever, and then swap again when you're about to get a
Mm.
breakthrough in that game. Like if you time it badly, it could be a nightmare. But I think for the most part, it will be fine. I think as well, Rogue Legacy is kind of a good game to have to do like a couple. I mean, roguelikes and roguelites generally are quite good in putting them on and like playing for like an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours or so, and then going and doing something else, and then a different day playing for like an hour or 2 hours. They're not like big role playing games or narrative heavy games where you feel like you want to play like 8 hours or like 6 hours in a row. So I think Rogue Legacy is kind of good for that, like having it as a secondary game or having another game alongside it generally.
Yeah, that's what it's become. I put down Stardew because I just don't believe that I can get the platinum in that. Not unless I sink another 100 hours or I switch over to PS5. But whenever I'm like home, I don't want to play Stardew. I want to play like something different, you know? Like Stardew is a great travel game. But yeah, this is my new side game is Rogue Legacy. But what have you been playing, dude?
So I've been playing Rogue Legacy, and I feel like we've had a really good discussion on that. It's been kind of on the back burner. Like I've been playing it a bit, kind of my secondary game right now, and just playing a bit every so often. It's been quite good when sometimes. So when I'm living by university, I have my OLED here, and then when I go home, like my other home, I guess when I spend time at my parents' place every so often, like every I don't know few weekends or so, it's good to. I don't take my TV with me, so I've got like this old like regular like 1080p TV. So it's been good to play Rogue Legacy on that because Rogue Legacy it's not exactly a graphical powerhouse. I mean, it's not trying to be, but it's very it's 2D indie game, simple textures, simple colors, and it doesn't really benefit that much from an OLED compared to other games that I'm playing, kind of like Apex Legends, for example, where it really helps to have like 4K resolution and HDR and VRR and things like that. Like all those things give you an absolute competitive advantage on a game that is more, rigorous graphically, I suppose. So it's been good to have Rogue Legacy kind of as that, like as like a, oh, I'm not like on my like ideal perfect setup. It's good. I've not been doing it, but it'd be good to like play it like on like a laptop, or like you're playing it on the Vita, or on like through like the cloud on like my phone or something. Like I could imagine doing that if the signal and connection is good enough. So it's good to have that as a sort of secondary game as well. But the other thing I've been playing is a ton of Apex Legends. I talked before about how I think season 13 might be wrong. You lose track when you get into the double digits of seasons for these live service games. But there's a new season with a new legend, a new ranked split. So I've been playing that with some friends, still loving it, really into it. I think it's such an intense game, but it's so like it's kind of intense and can be frustrating, but it's also kind of like a comfort food type game where it's like you can just put it on and like play a few games and feel like the rush and the time just like slips by super fast. And I'll sometimes play it solo, sometimes with friends, depends on if anyone's available, or if I just want to sort of focus on my own game, or if I want to, just use it as a way to chill out and talk to people. But really enjoying it. I love it still. I feel like it's been good as well because I haven't had that much time. So it's always nice with multiplayer games as well to sort of just put it on and play it for a little bit. You don't get like with again like bigger games, like anything with a narrative or anything that's got like expansive quests. It's kind of awkward playing those games because you feel like stuff doesn't break up into nice even chunks sometimes when you're playing. Like you feel like, oh, I really have to finish this chapter, and you might not know, but the chapter could be like 4 hours long, and you're just like 1 hour into it, and you don't know, but you're like, oh no, I got to finish this chapter because I'm really engrossed and immersed in it. Or some chapters might be like 30 minutes long, and some can be like 5 hours long. There's some games that are weird like that. Or you have a situation with a bunch of quests, and you're sort of doing like a little bit of a bunch of different quests at the same time, but you want to see the resolution to all of them. So I find those games are like kind of a nightmare when you're busy because you never fully get immersed, because just as you're like getting into it, you're like, I got to stop and do something else at this point, because you don't have like super long periods of time to game. So it's been good to have those two as like a combination at the moment. But I'm looking for other things to play as well. I think I need to commit to Rogue Legacy a bit more, but I'm not sure if anything is coming out soon that I'm really interested. I think it's going to be Cuphead, the Cuphead DLC. That's coming out next month, I think, either June or July. And I'm extremely excited for that. I love Cuphead. So I think when that comes out, I'm going to be like playing that like all the time. And I'm excited as well in like a week's time or so, the Xbox sort of pseudo E3 show is happening. So, there might be some more release dates, some more third party stuff, some more Game Pass stuff that will be exciting, hopefully. So, waiting for that as well. Also, not really in terms of what I've been chasing, but, well, was chasing a few weeks ago. The achievement walkthroughs that I talked about before, Subnautica Below Zero, that's up on Macca's channel now, and I'm really proud of it. I think Macca's done a great job editing it and with the commentary as well. So that game's fantastic, and the completion is a quick 30 minutes, and it's really easy to do. There's basically no risk of messing it up, as far as I can tell, as well. If you just follow the guide, you'll be totally fine. And then I think Who's Your Daddy is going to be coming at some point soon. I don't know. I know that Macca might be in like editing hell with it because, as we talked about before, that game to complete nightmare, to complete disaster. I kind of don't recommend it that much, even though it's free. Like it's a free trial and it's a really easy gamer score, so it's probably worth it to a lot of you out there. But it's just surprisingly stressful, or maybe not. Like you might do it and you might do it in like 20 minutes and get everything unlocked fine, or you might be there for like 4 hours. I'd say the standard is probably around what I got, like an hour and a half. But yeah, not a great game. The easiest and smoothest, and for a good game, play Subnautica Below Zero. But one of those guides is up, the other guide should be up soon, and that's pretty much everything for me.
All right. Okay. Well, that's awesome, dude. With how busy you are, I'm surprised you got that much gaming in. That's pretty good, honestly. All right, so let's talk about the topic on the table. So this is topical, and news broke yesterday, I believe. And PlayStation Plus Premium, they're the top tier of the new PS Plus stuff, has PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games. And there's a lot of games that are starting to come out, and they're getting trophy support. And Sony says it's up to the devs. And there are more confirmed games day by day or whatever that are getting more like that are announcing that the trophy support, but then there's still titles that have no update on them, and they might not get trophy support. And this kind of made me think about how Xbox has been doing their support and their backwards compatibility, and they've been crushing it. They've been superior to Sony for years now with backwards compatibility. So I was just kind of curious on how Xbox has done this, and was it ever a problem for them, like when they did backwards compatibility? Did they have any original Xbox titles that have gamer score and things like that?
So I thought this was awesome. I was surprised by it. I didn't think that Sony would do it because I didn't think like you say, like with Sony's legacy games, there were those comments from Jim Ryan before he was head of PlayStation. To be fair, where he was saying, like, oh, I don't know why you'd want to play that or something. Why would anyone want to play this in terms of like old Gran Turismo games? And they also released statements about like, this feature is super requested, but our data shows that no one actually uses backwards compatibility or no one's interested in it. So they seem to be kind of like pretty hard against it, I guess. Other than and there was the whole PS3 streaming stuff. But so I really wasn't expecting it because it's such like a great step forward in terms of backwards compatibility and like enhancing games as well, because they've talked about some FPS support. There's been some stuff with like PAL versions or like NTSC versions, and that seems to be causing issues potentially. But in terms of they've said some games are going to be enhanced in terms of FPS as well, so that's great to see that something Xbox does with some like 4K enhancements and some FPS stuff. But in terms of achievements and trophies, the way it works on Xbox is the 360 backwards compatible games. When you launch them, it like launches like it's like you've just turned on an Xbox 360 when you boot into it. Like it gives you like the like splash screen, I guess, of like you turning on a 360, like the logo and everything, and then it puts you on like a virtual version of like a 360 essentially. And so when you press the guide button, you get like the 360 overlay and you look at your achievements, and it's just like a complete one-to-one in terms of the Xbox 360 achievement list that's just like on the Xbox Series or the Xbox One. So it's the same list. So if you got like 500 out of 1,000 on the 360 version of, I don't know, like Perfect Dark Zero or something, and then you play the backwards compatible version, you'll have the 500 and you can just get the other 500. So that's how it works there. In terms of the original Xbox, they didn't add any achievements. They just did the backwards compatibility emulation, and the games run better and they look better, but they don't have achievement support added in. And no one's gone in and like made a new list and put the list on there. So this stuff from Sony is really impressive, and what I've liked seeing from like people on True Achievements and in the Xbox community, they've said like, hey, like Microsoft, like you guys should do this too. Like you should go back, and especially for the first party stuff, right? Like on PlayStation, one of the games that's getting trophy support is Siphon Filter, which is Sony Bend, right? So for first party, I don't know why they wouldn't do that. It just makes sense, I guess. I suppose some of the problem maybe for Xbox is a lot of some of like the biggest first party games are kind of covered already in some other way. So I guess in terms of like Halo, like the original Halo, there was Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, which was a 360 game, and on that has an achievement list. And then there was the Halo the Master Chief Collection, which has another version of the first Halo game, and also Halo 2. And both of those have achievement lists. And Halo 2 actually had an achievement list for the Windows release. So Halo 2, even though that was an original Xbox game, there's an achievement list associated with that game. So I can kind of understand why Microsoft didn't do it, because there's some games where it's like they did a remaster or they did some different ports of it and they put achievements in then. So it's like, it feels like there's less of an issue. And also, the thing to remember, obviously, is that not that many original Xbox games are backwards compatible. I think maybe 50 or so. And in terms of, generationally speaking, Sony were around in terms of the PlayStation a whole generation before Xbox was. So, the Xbox was competing with the PS2, but, Sony had all of the PS1 and all the PS1 library. So for them to go back, they've got like a bigger like treasure trove of games, essentially, a bigger back catalog, more iconic first party releases, that kind of thing. Whereas for Xbox, it's like they've got the original Xbox, but that's the only one not covered. They don't have that many that's backwards compatible. And then of those ones, some of the first party stuff has been sort of remastered or ported in a way. A lot of like the rare stuff as well, like, Grabbed by the Ghoulies and stuff like that. I think Blast Core as well. That stuff got ported to Rare Replay, and Rare Replay has achievements and is backwards compatible. So you've got like this weirdness where you've got like, there's not that many Xbox games. They're sort of a generation behind in terms of the amount of games that they've got. And then some of those games from first party were already sort of ported or remastered and then given achievement support through like a roundabout way, like not through backwards compatibility, but through like a collection or a port. So I'm not sure if Microsoft will follow, but I'd love if they did. I'd love if they got like Blinks the Time Sweeper or whatever, and they put a bunch of achievements in it, because I don't think that game has any version with achievements. Or see, this is the thing, right? Like I was thinking just then, oh, they could do it with Fable, right? Fable 1. Fable 1 was an Xbox game, but they did Fable Anniversary Edition, which came out on 360 and has achievements. So it's like, I can kind of see how like it's a bigger win for Sony than it ever would be for Xbox, because partly because they've kind of already done it, and partly because it's kind of awkward for them to now go back and do it when they've got like a version of the game they'd rather you play that's like a more up-to-date one, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it seems like they've already addressed it. Like you've said, if there's already a not a remake, but like a remaster or a revamped version of the game so that you can play the original on more current consoles, it's like, why even go back and get anything else? Like they're doing a lot of it already. And I'm about to make a comment that's going to make people pretty mad, but like the meme with the cat at the table and the lady screaming at him. But like now with the PlayStation Plus games getting like trophy support, PS1 games getting trophy support, I'm much more likely to go and try to platinum them or play them in general because they have the trophy support. It's like Ape Escape. Did I know that was on there? No, I did not. Would I have played it without trophies? I don't know. I actually don't. But now that I'm like, oh my god, I played that at a friend's house and I can
Ape
go and
Escape's a
platinum that.
classic.
Right? Exactly. It's
Amazing
like,
game.
why would I not go back and like platinum that? That is a game that I would love to complete. Like that's so awesome, like
yeah, it's great. It's really good. I hope they keep doing it and come out strong with it. And I had no idea, like it's such a turnaround from like what my perception was and what everyone's perception was. So when I saw the news, I was like sending it everywhere. I was like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. They did it. I think it's like a great thing for, obviously for trophy hunters, but for PlayStation gamers and for, for everyone essentially. Like it's awesome. I think, yeah, it's kind of like, I think Xbox should do it now. Like they should do it in some way, but I can understand their position's kind of awkward, because even like stuff like Voodoo Vince, like that game got like a remaster and got achievements. So it's like they're really gonna have to. I'm sure people can come up with a list, definitely, of games that could get achievement support, but I feel like it's not. People are probably not clamor. I guess Panzer Dragoon maybe is one. It's difficult. It's more difficult. There's a lot more material there for Sony to get at because it's either been like not looked at before, whereas Xbox has looked at it, or just because in terms of sheer quantity of bangers, there was more on PlayStation through PS1 and PS2 than there was on the original Xbox.
That's right, and it's really exciting. I don't know. I did not expect. So for a long time, this PlayStation Plus tier thing has been rumored, and then it was announced, and it's like, what is it? What are we gonna get? And we got the idea for the compatibility along this journey, or the backwards compatibility and the more PS1 games, and then you know so late into this, we find out we get trophy support too. It's like that is just icing on the cake for a lot of people, and I'm very excited about it. But are you ready to wrap up and do the trophy and achievement of the week?
Yeah, let's do it. You want me to
All
go
right.
first with achievement of the week?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I was really trying to find something, and from what I've recently been playing, it's been difficult to find anything. So I had a look because Sniper Elite 5 is coming out really soon. And I like the Sniper Elite games. I think I only played Sniper Elite 2 though, because I was kind of they've made like a crazy amount of these. I can't believe there's a fifth one. But from what I played and from what I've seen, like they all look cool. Like I really like I'd say it's I wouldn't say it's like a super hardcore sniping simulator, but it's like I guess like an arcadey sniping simulator in terms of what you do. Accounting for bullet drop and going to these like almost like Hitman style, like really picturesque locales and across like big maps of like open areas for you to explore. Like I think that's a cool niche for a game like this. So Sniper Elite 5 is coming out really soon, but the achievement list dropped, and there's a bunch of achievements that are for like challenges to do with specific missions. And so I guess light spoilers for Sniper Elite 5, but there's a bunch of achievements to do with like a mission where you have to kill Hitler. So there's like, and then they've all got like pun names to them. So there's an achievement to kill only Hitler and exfiltrate, and it's called Reich to the point instead of right to the point. And then there's kill Hitler at a distance of 300 meters or more, and it's called From Führer Away. And then there's one to kill him with a testicle shot as well, called Das Familien Jewel.
Dude, those are all awesome. Oh my
So,
god.
so yeah, I saw that list and I was like, I gotta pick those. They're
How could you
fantastic.
not?
Yeah,
Jeez.
they're great. And yeah, Sniper Elite 5. I don't know. I might jump back into it. Maybe. I mean, I always have a problem with playing like skipping entries in a series. Like it's just something that's tough for me to like. It would be tough to go from 2 to 5, but I feel like the narrative of these games isn't really important as far as I can tell. Like no one's talking about the story of these games as like BioShock or The Last of Us or something. So I don't think it's a big deal. And Sniper Elite 5 is going to be a day one Game Pass game. So there's kind of like, now that I've seen the achievement list is cool, it's like maybe I will just download it because there's no way I'd pay for it because it's I think £55, which seems like a lot. Seems like
Yeah,
a high price point.
something unique. Yeah, and they've always been that way. But something unique about Sniper Elite is that they've always been like the conversation around them is not like, oh, this campaign is so good. It's always like the moments and the X-ray. Like the moments of like a sick shot and then getting like the cool X-ray and the gore of like the bullet going through the person is like that's why people play, Sniper Elite. And it feels like as the tech gets better and better, it's just more and more exciting for
Yeah,
people.
it seems like it's got that like Hitman type like Dishonored thing where it's like it's really rewarding to find like a secret route to this like specific vantage point and then to like shoot a guy from like a mile away and have like the slow-mo and then them have like no idea where you are and then just get in, get out. So I definitely enjoyed my time with the one I played before. And the achievement list as well, which is interesting, has over 1,000 gamerscore, has 1,165. So that's
Whoa.
quite cool as well.
At least it ends on a 5.
Oh yeah, thank God.
All right, and then my trophies of the week are I actually have two. and they're both from Lost in Random. And I actually chose these because they were so charming, and like they are missable trophies. So minor spoilers here, but not anything significant. I wouldn't consider these spoilers to like myself, and I'm very spoiler sensitive. But the one of them's third time's a charm, and basically you need to open this gate to get to the third world prematurely, and the narrator starts being like, will say something and be like, well, the main character tried and couldn't do it, but I'm not going to repeat myself. And then you do it again, and he's like, well, I guess I'm repeating myself. The main character cannot do this. And then he will like, you just keep doing it, and it progresses like the charm of that narrator until he just snaps, and it's so fun. And then it also does that in the very first chapter where you got to like find a route back up to your house, and then you got to knock on the door, and he's like, the main character's not going to do this because it'll wake their parents. And then you just keep doing it. And it just, like I said, the narrator gets to the point where he just like snaps, and then you get the trophy. And it's like, it's so charming, dude. It's so charming. And I was just like, I had to call out these 2 trophies because every single time I get to a new chapter, I look forward to like the moment that I get to do something unique with the narrator. And most of them are missable because, you know, you probably do that and then you just don't interact with it again because the narrator said, don't do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so good.
I like when games let you feel like you're going off script like that as well. Makes the world feel a bit more alive and reactive to your actions. And yeah,
Absolutely.
it's always cool to just see like all the dialogue that they've written for the character, and it to get like more and more absurd. I love when games do that as well.
Yeah, it's really good. But you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm hoping to start something else soon because I can't. Like when I was thinking about it earlier, I was like, surely I can't wait until like the end of like next month, which is like or July for Cuphead DLC. Because the other thing about that is that Cuphead DLC is cursed in that it's been delayed like 500 times. So it's probably going to be like middle of next month, and then they're going to be like, oh, sorry, it's going to be out in 6 months' time, and then I'm going to feel like a total idiot for believing them again that date was going to come. But especially because now, like, this was a problem for Cuphead back in like 2018. So now we're in like the time where like every release gets delayed, like everything, even studios and teams that never usually delay are like, yep, we're delaying, like everything's being delayed all the time. So yeah, I kind of can't quite believe it that it's coming out, but also it's far enough away that I've got to find something else, hopefully by next time.
Pardon my ignorance on this, but I actually have a question for you. Does Microsoft own the Cuphead studio?
No, Studio MDHR, I think.
But I remember a lot of exclusivity. Is this going to come out on PlayStation at the same time that it comes out on Xbox?
Yes,
the DLC?
I think it'll come
It
out
is?
and everything at the same time. Yeah.
Dude. Okay, so when you pick that up, I actually really liked the episode today where we got to talk about Rogue Legacy together. And when our interests align, I would totally be cool to like pick up the game at the same time you do because I love Cuphead. I have not tried to platinum it on PlayStation, but that would be something that I would love to do. And then I also want to get to the DLC because I have beat Cuphead on PC, but that's definitely something I would love to do when you pick it up. So it would be fun to like play side by side.
Yeah, Cuphead's amazing. And yeah, it was at like a bunch of Xbox's E3 shows, and then it was exclusive for I think like a year or like a year and a half or maybe a couple of years. I'm not sure. I remember actually, I feel like it's probably no one talks about it, but or talked about it like that, and it I guess didn't get like, you know, it's not like first party hype, but that game was probably like the best Xbox exclusive while it was exclusive during the part of the Xbox One gen, because that game is just fantastic in every way. Like it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Happy hunting. Peace out.
See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to Complete Edition. If you like the content, consider supporting us on patreon.com/completionclub. If you have any questions or would like to reach us, email completionclub@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to Complete Edition.